Honeywell and CNBC-TV18 present India Energy Transition Summit.
Welcome to this special conversation brought to you by Honeywell and CNBC-TV18 as part of the India Energy Transition Summit. Today we are diving into a crucial aspect of sustainable development, the future of aviation. With India's aviation sector set to grow at an impressive 11% annually, driven by better infrastructure and new connections to Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, the demand for aviation turbine fuel is rising fast. But with that growth comes the challenge of managing carbon emissions, as aviation currently accounts for about 2.5 to 3% of global CO2 emissions. That's where sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF, comes in, a game changer for reducing emissions without the need for changes to existing aircraft engines. Today we'll explore how SAF can help decarbonize the aviation industry and what it means for the future of air travel in India. Joining us for this very important discussion are Ranjit Kulkarni, Vice President and General Manager of Energy and Sustainability Solutions at Honeywell India, and Bharathan S, Director of Refineries at HPCL. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us here today on the show. And well, as you heard, the Indian aviation sector is on the rise. The demand for fuel and the consumption of fuel is also on the rise. So, Ranjit, if I may begin by asking you, tell us a little bit about sustainable aviation fuel. Why is this better for the environment? And, as we grow, as the aviation sector in India grows, what specific benefits can SAF offer in terms of life cycle greenhouse gas emissions as compared to traditional fuels?
Thank you, Mridu, and thank you for having us over here. It's a fantastic opportunity to be in this sector at this point of time. SAF, as we say, sustainable aviation fuel, is something we made from renewable resources and something that brings down greenhouse gas emissions by as much as 80 to 90%. Wow. So absolutely we need it. To give a perspective just about India context, India had bought about 728 planes since 1947. And we already are hearing a lot of news from Air India, from Indigo and other airlines, how much on order book. It's about 1,500 planes on order book. So by end of 2030, we would have tripled our airlines fleet. Of course, when we are all talking about decarbonization, we need to make sure that when we grow, our economy grows, we grow in a sustainable way. Why SAF is exciting? Because SAF draws its fuel from bioresources, from CO2, from hydrogen, solar. All of these resources we have in abundance. We need to make use of this because more and more we use and go away from fossil fuels. It is part of our energy independence. This is what we are trying to go into, new energies. So I think it's a new industry we are setting in, a new ecosystem that is developing. And that's why I feel it's a very, very exciting time to be in SAF.
Absolutely. Very exciting times indeed. And who would have thought that our waste could actually result in fuels that could make us fly, right? But Bharathan, coming to you now, of course, it's a great idea. But how feasible is it? What will it take for us to produce SAF for India? HPCL is running some pilot projects on that front. Give us a little bit of a, peep into what you are doing there. And from a refining perspective, what are some of the major technological challenges as well as economic hurdles when it comes to mainstreaming sustainable aviation fuel for India?
Right. So we had started all this sustainable initiatives. Several initiatives are being taken so that the net zero carbon emissions are reduced and the climate change is protected. So in this, one of the major measure which is going into the aviation industry is the sustainable aviation fuel. And as Mr. Ranjit told, the consumption of fuel also is going to increase rapidly with the purchase of several new aircraft. About at least 1 to 2% of that is already being done under CORSIA target in some of the European countries, and that is being produced commercially in a commercial manner and it's already being used. So we are also very close to launch the commercial production in India. Several projects have been announced. Couple of projects have got investment decision and the production will start within 2 to 3 years from now. One of them is being built by HPCL in our Visakhapatnam refinery. So in the small quantities, what initially we are going to do it will be definitely in a profitable way, because there is a discovered price for SAF today, which is quite higher than what is being otherwise consumed by others. So that way we are going to start in an economic way, but if we want to scale up, we will have to have a large production facilities. Then there are much more than needs to be done than that is being done today. Coming to the technological view, there are several pathways in which the SAF can be made. Couple of them I will mention, which is quite promising. One is from used cooking oil, which can be converted into sustainable aviation fuel in a known, proven technological pathways. So that is the one which we are also going to do. And the closely competing with that is something which can come from ethanol to SAF, which is also closely competing with that, and in the coming years that will come. Now, coming to the technological challenges for scaling up, these are some of the feedstock which comes with a number of impurities. So first we will have to remove them, and then using energy, it will be converted into sustainable aviation fuel. Now the challenge here is, even the energy that is being used for converting have to be sustainable. So we are working on all these areas so that you will be able to make this SAF, which is truly sustainable and will reduce the CO2 emissions, which is our ultimate target.
Great, fantastic. Ranjit, you know, Honeywell, of course, is a pioneer when it comes to the aviation sector, enabling it with different kinds of technological advancements. Give us a sense of, you know, what are the technology advancements and innovations that you are offering when it comes to production as well as deployment of SAF, and how do these innovations specifically contribute towards reducing the carbon footprint of the aviation sector?
So we started working on SAF in 2009. I mean, the first feedstock we all looked at was used cooking oil, or we call it as fogs, of fatty oils, greases, and greases. So those were the first ones naturally, correct? We immediately started looking, but there is so much of used cooking oil available around, correct? Plus we are getting more and more health conscious. So wherever we go, we always look at global solutions. Okay, for used cooking oil, you also need a masses. Okay, there are countries where population are less sparse. There are countries where population is more. So used cooking oil had its own limitations on how much it could scale up compared to what we need globally to decarbonize. We started spreading that adjacency, and we started looking at multiple sources. So for example, today we can take any biofeedstock or any agricultural waste, whether it is from forest, whether it is from gardens or any other agricultural activity, and we can convert that into SAF. We can also take any municipal solid waste and convert it into SAF. We can take any kind of alcohol, which is not, and convert it into SAF. We can take all the captured CO2 from the atmosphere or from cement plants or from other plants, use a green hydrogen and convert it into synthetic SAF, or again a greener SAF. So we are quite excited that what we started journey with one or two feedstock, today we can process almost any feedstock and make it into the SAF. As of today, there are 11 pathways approved to make SAF. 11 more are in works of approval, and we are not done yet. This is just a beginning. So quite, I would say, as a technology company, we continuously look at. A lot of these solutions are also supposed to be regional, because when we talk of SAF, we have to look what's available in the region.
Right.
The best thing about SAF is we are taking what's waste and converting it into fuel. So we have to see what waste is available in what region and which technology applies.
Great. And Bharathan, of course, HPCL is a key player as far as the refining industry is concerned. You are very well positioned to contribute to the SAF supply chain. So how are you preparing your refineries to produce SAF, and what sort of infrastructure investments, technological investments, people investments are you making for this?
I will start with the people investment first, because that is required to develop our capability and also to be ourselves sustainable and develop our indigenous capabilities also in this. So this offers us an exciting opportunity, as this is a new technology which is coming up in the world, and I am very happy to say that India is also in the forefront of several indigenously developed technologies and catalysts, so that we can make this ourselves. So HPCL also is very much into indigenization of this technology and production. So we have set up a HPCL Green R&D Center in Bengaluru, where we do this research for all alternate energy and alternate fuel forms, from which the knowledge development takes place. Based on that, we are now setting up the demonstration scale plant. Now for taking this supply chain, the ecosystem has to be well developed so that whatever we produce in our refineries reaches the aviation hubs in a very effective manner. You cannot be taking it to a longer distance, because that itself will lead to CO2 emissions as we will have to move through trucks. So we are proposing to locate these plants closer to the aviation major, wherever airports are there, as well as where the feedstock is available. So that way we will be setting it up near the metro cities, which will be small plants where this used cooking oil is also available. And for when we scale up for a bigger capacities, then we'll have to take the plants closer to the places where they are available. So the bigger plants will come there. So these are two major things to be noted. And for enabling blending of this, we will be installing all the required facilities across our terminals. HPCL itself has close to 80 terminals across India, and 3 to 4 times more the industry has. So each one of us have to put at least closer to the places where we have the airports, these facilities for blend storing and blending, so that can be supplied there.
Fantastic. Well, you spoke about the ecosystem, and Ranjit, I want to come to you with that. Now, with a goal as huge as this, of course, ecosystem collaboration is very essential, and there are various stakeholders involved. There is technology companies like you, refineries, the government, the aviation sector in itself. Now, give us a sense of some of the recent partnerships that Honeywell India has been, or Honeywell globally has been forming to promote SAF adoption. And what tangible outcomes do you expect when you form collaborations or partnerships like these? So,
partnership is absolutely required over here. It's not a one-man army or a one-company journey, correct? Everybody has to come together. And there are, since this is a new ecosystem, we have to understand what it takes for all of us to sail through together. Talking on adding on what Mr. Bharathan said, for example, alcohol to jet or our ethanol to jet, we developed this in India, in our R&D center in India. Okay, it's a fantastic for us, an achievement that what we could, because we know that ethanol is a key resource in India available, we could take it further. But to take it further or make it commercially viable, we had to look at what kind of aggregation is available, what kind of capacities are available. That is the first collaboration we need to look at, is where it is. Second, we will have to look at into how quickly or how minimum steps we can take to convert it into SAF. Each step we add adds to the cost and adds to the carbon footprint. And third is a market. How quickly we can take it to the market, in the sense of what market is ready. I'll give you an example. The biggest ethanol producer is US, and the biggest ethanol we make is out of corn. But 93% of corn is inedible, which we can use it for making ethanol. But that ethanol does not qualify as a SAF. So there is a huge raw material available. It does not qualify for SAF because of its carbon footprint.
Right.
Why it's not there? Because the methods that are used are being continuously updated. If today we look at for example, today we look at the carbon footprint of making, say, sugarcane or corn, it is much lower than what it was 20 years ago. Today we are using less fertilizer to make same amount of food crop. We are using less electricity, and we are using much better efficiencies. So that has actually lowered the carbon footprint, and those have to be reflected in the specifications that are being used. Once we do or update those, suddenly a larger feedstock becomes available. What that enables is to drive down the cost. As a technology provider, we do work with all the agencies who certify this, all the developers who invest in this. So for us, it's a hand in glove with everybody. We don't succeed until innovation makes it to the market and people start using it. For us, that's a testimony of our innovation and development.
Right. Well, absolutely. Very exciting conversation. We are going to take a short break at this point. On the other side, we will discuss the economic viability of SAF adoption in India. That's critical to its success here. So stay with us right here on CNBC-TV18.
Honeywell and CNBC-TV18 present India Energy Transition Summit.
Welcome back to this special conversation as part of the Honeywell and CNBC-TV18 India Energy Transition Summit. Our focus today is on the future of India's aviation sector and its decarbonization, and we're niching it down to the adoption of sustainable aviation fuel. Ranjit, on the economic viability front, how do you compare SAF with traditional jet fuels? And given that at this point in time, SAF can be a little more expensive, what steps can be taken to really bring down costs and make it more financially feasible? And any best practices from other parts of the world, from Europe, etc., that we can pick up?
Thank you, Mil. There is a saying that even if you are sitting on a gold mine, you have to dig efficiently. If you look at India's resource availability, we have plenty of biomass stock, we have plenty of ethanol availability, we have plenty of solar availability or solar electricity available, green or solar, wind and other renewable electricity. So we have all the basic building blocks that's required for the SAF industry to grow. But that leads to the next question, how wisely we are using that? Because when we look in terms of cost reduction, the first thing that comes is scalability. Which of these are scalable options? Use cooking oil, yes, available, but to an extent. CO2 to methanol or capturing CO2, making green hydrogen and convert it into SAF, possible. But still, the cost of green hydrogen is today is prohibitive, very, very high. Cost of capturing CO2 is very, very high. So what we are trying to work on is trying to bring those costs down. It comes down by developing some local alternatives. It comes down by scaling up the project and continue to improve the efficiency of the process. If we look at alcohol to jet, or if we look at municipal solid waste to jet SAF processes, one thing that happens is we take a lot of biomass and it results into a lot of shrinkage along the process. If we improve the efficiency of the process, we can reduce the wastage. More and more, as we improve our yields, as we improve our conversions, you are getting more SAF out of same raw material. That improves your profitability, brings you down your cost. Second, any co-products that are produced, if that also can be value upgraded, that also brings a lot more benefits as a whole process system. The third proportion that needs to bring the cost down is a robust demand supply offtake, or demand offtake, I would say. If there are long-term offtakes coming through, investors come and start lending at much more attractive rate because they do see it's moving forward. And then the fourth one we are looking for is new feedstocks. So if we are looking for, say, new plant-based, we are looking which plants can have more lipids in it, okay, or which feedstock can give more of SAF content in it. So we do look into that. We believe all of these are required to bring down the cost. Again, and it has to be a local solution for the local problem.
Right. And well, bringing down the cost is also subject to regulatory policies and push by the government. So, Mr. Bharathan, how do you assess the current regulatory environment that surrounds SAF production in India? Any thoughts on specific policy changes or incentives that you think would significantly help boost SAF production in the next couple of years?
To start with, this is a voluntary blending which is already in place at the developed countries, and we are also indicated that from 27 onwards we will be doing it. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a market determined price for this, and today if you consider that, it's quite an economic solution straight away. But there are several challenges in achieving that. Few of them I may list. One is requirement of a certification. So probably the policies for certifying the product, because it is going to come through different pathways, and it has to be exactly, you will have to calculate the number of the recycled amount which is there when I make the final product. So there are certifying agencies available. India also should have that. So certification and quality control is one which has to be facilitated. The second will be in aggregation of the feedstock. Aggregation of the feedstock industry does not have the direct control on that. So there probably a government policy and help will definitely ensure that the scale up is possible. With respect to the other things like production and all, I don't think any further specific support is required. Right. And finally, when the product is sold, since we have been talking about 2 to 3 times more costlier than the current fuel, some tax benefits are definitely will be expected when the finally product is used. I think these three are the broad categories under which government can support. And the last and most important one is in research and development and collaboration with the people who have already done it. These two, when it is promoted, will definitely accelerate the production that we are targets that we are looking for.
Right. Well, we're running out of time, but as we close this conversation, I want both of you to tell me, as key stakeholders of the SAF production consumption ecosystem, what is that one commitment that, as a stakeholder, your organization is making to help SAF become a reality, a mainstream reality for India in the next couple of years, something that, you all are deeply committed to. At HPCL, we can start with you, Bharathan, first.
We are committed to supply what the market wants. So as and when the airlines require the fuel, we will be ready with all the required infrastructure as well as the product to supply to the market. So for that, whatever investment is required, much early we are already started doing, and this will continue till we satisfy the entire market demands.
All right. Ranjit, what about you?
As a technology provider, our commitment is to keep investing in this technology development, make sure we drive the efficiency, we drive down the cost, and we find more alternative pathways which are suited for the local demands.
Well, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here and getting these insights from you. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us here today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's clear that collaboration between technology providers, refineries, airlines and the government will be key to overcoming challenges and driving the transition towards cleaner, greener air travel. I hope you enjoyed those incredible insights into making sustainable aviation fuel a viable option in India as we transition to a more sustainable energy landscape. That's a wrap for this special conversation. Until next time, thank you for joining us. Goodbye.
Honeywell and CNBC-TV18 present India Energy Transition Summit.